Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about when you pull away, what you're doing wrong, and why it backfires. Pulling away for your own emotional regulation is fine. But I've had a lot of calls recently and comments from all of y'all, right? And anyone who has a call with me, it's confidential. I'm not sharing any behaviors, anything like that. And we've already addressed it in that call. So if I didn't address this with you, it's because it's not an issue in your relationship. So don't worry about it. But what I'm noticing as a pattern is a lot of people try to pull away to regulate themselves, or they're trying to pull away to gain some power in the relationship. And then what ends up happening is it backfires. And again, if this has happened, I already addressed it to you. You don't need to worry. If it didn't happen, I'm not talking to you, okay? So don't worry. We're going to talk about that today. And if you want to call with me so I can analyze your relationship and give you more specific advice and perspectives about your relationship, that's pinned in the comments. But what do I even mean by all of this? What do I mean by pulling away and it's going wrong and it's going to backfire? What happens is a particular pattern I've seen with you guys, my patients, anyone who goes on a call with me, even my comment section. What I see is you're trying to regulate yourself and pull away in order for them to understand a behavior they did was wrong or inappropriate or hurt you. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. If that doesn't apply, this won't apply to you at all. Okay, but what I see and why it backfires, because there is a way to pull away that it works, but there's a more common version I see that's backfiring. You are upset about something, so it's the first thing. Something happened, your avoidant partner said something, and you're upset about something. It could be anything. And then the next thing that you do, number two, is you wait and see if they notice. Or you believe that what happened, they understand it. So you're almost like waiting. Sometimes it might be like, I don't know, a day. Sometimes it might be a couple weeks. You're waiting. That doesn't mean you have pulled away yet, but you're kind of waiting to see if they notice. You might be trying to act a little bit disinterested or detached or whatever it is. You might to see, do they notice? And then what happens is likely that doesn't work. And then you go on to the third step. And this is a step that really throws a wrench in the whole thing. You pull away without directly telling them why. And so now you're pulled away. You might have not talked to them for like a week, whatever it is. And during that time, yeah, maybe they kind of reached out indirectly. You see that a lot. Maybe they do try to reach out, but it's not enough, or you feel like it's not working. And so then you wait for them to reach out in the way you feel like is best fit. So this is the fourth step, okay? You are waiting for them to reach out. But typically what happens, maybe you guys are calling it no contact, which you guys know how I feel about no contact. Sometimes it works. I know some of y'all, you've mentioned it works. And then a lot of y'all are like waiting in no contact and you're like, when do I reach out? What do I do? And this is why. A lot of times this kind of thing happened. Not always, but it does. You're waiting for them to reach out and then they don't. It's taking too long. And so that's the fifth stage. They don't, so you eventually reach out. And so the whole entire thing you just did kind of wasted time. They didn't really understand what happened. They thought maybe you were having a mood, or maybe they feel like you're emotionally unstable to some extent. And they almost think that the relationship is less stable than they originally thought it was. You didn't get what you wanted either. And now you're in a worse position than when you started. So that's the version of it where you pull away and it backfires. But then is there a version where you can kind of regulate yourself and it doesn't backfire and they actually do listen to you and they actually do change? Yes. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And as I'd mentioned, if you guys had a call with me, and you already know this because I already told you, but anyone who wants to know, this is here. It's not going to be specific to your pattern, obviously, but it can help you guys a lot. So what actually works? Again, it depends on your particular situation. But if you want me to evaluate particular situation, that's pinned in the comments. Basically, the first one, the way to do this is you tell them that you're frustrated with their action, whatever it is. I think that it might be easier if we actually think of something that we can use this as an example. Okay. Maybe they promised that they would call you after work and they forgot. So that's kind of a simple one, right? But we're going to just use that and kind of amplify it, or it might be a little exaggerated, the reaction, but it's just an example, okay? So they didn't call you, and this is very important for whatever particular reason, okay? And they forgot. So you say, maybe you follow up and you say, you promised that you'd call me after work. I know that you got off work at 6 today. You got off work at 5 today, whatever it is. And you didn't call me. I waited a couple hours and I still didn't get a call from you. And so I just want to make sure you're okay. And maybe they say, yeah, I'm okay. I forgot. I'm sorry. You can say, I appreciate your apology. I'm very frustrated. And then the next step, okay? You explain What bothered you and what you would prefer they do. A lot of people lose this one, okay? But this is really important. I feel frustrated because you promised me that you would call me. I was waiting on you. It doesn't mean I was waiting around, but I do want you to know that I held you to your word and I trusted you. So I was expecting that call at some point. I did wait. And what I would have preferred you do is you called me, or if you had forgotten, that you follow up with me and mention that you forgot and then call me or schedule a phone call with me. That's what I would have preferred. But you didn't do either of those things. And so that's what's leaving me frustrated. Can we meet in the middle? What can we do about that? And so the next step, number 3, could be that they agree. I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. Good. Then really, you don't need to even do the pulling away thing. It doesn't matter anymore. However, or if they make a compromise, you know what? I should have said that next time. I would like if you just waited a little bit longer, because I promise I would have called you. I was still caught up with something. Okay. So now there's a compromise. Good. You don't need to pull away. You don't need to do any of those things. Okay. But if not, maybe they crash out. They're saying, okay, fine, whatever it is. I'm not really sure what you want, but okay. Maybe they give you a hard time. Okay, that's fine. So the next step is you mention you still feel frustrated. You appreciate that they're honest, and you need time to process your frustration. You have to say that because they need to understand what's happening. A lot of avoidants are very instruction based. I've told you guys this before. You are almost walking them through what they need to do. You already told them, but now they're going to follow your emotional pattern as well. They now don't think you're abnormal or emotionally unstable. The first one, there was no clear communication at all. So they can use their triggers, their wounds, and start saying you're abnormal, you're manipulative, you're mentally whatever. But this one, it's not going to be like that because you're clearly saying, I need time to process my frustration. So let's give an example of what that sounds like. I still feel frustrated. I'm just going to watch some TV. What I see with a lot of patients, and even if I've talked to you on a call or we've discussed this, what you guys have even seen is once you do this, if you say, I still feel frustrated, I'm going to watch TV. What they start doing is they try and give small emotional bids. Oh, that sounds good. I'm going to make some food tonight. It's not as good as you're cooking, but I have nothing else to eat. They're kind of trying to indirectly make you feel warm to them again, right? They kind of feel bad. They're still feeling a little bit stubborn about what they did. They're not really saying I'm sorry, but they're trying to make you happy or trying to warm you up again. Okay, so you might start seeing that. That doesn't mean you cave fully, right? That's not what you do. The next one is you take a little bit of that space. You said you're frustrated, you're going to watch TV. You didn't say you're going to break up, but you're going to watch TV. You don't even need to answer the text. Just wait a little bit. Watch TV, do what you need to do, relax and unwind, okay? And the next step is the one that people get thrown off the most. Reconnect as if nothing happened. Because this isn't about them, it's about you. You relaxed, then maybe the next morning you say good morning or they say good morning and you just chat like nothing's happened. Then maybe in a couple hours, maybe in a couple weeks, whatever it is, whenever you want to, likely going to be a couple weeks to be honest, or a couple days. If the issue happens again, you bring it up, you say you're frustrated, what you'd like, that you feel like this continues, and you be a little more fire to it, okay? But if it doesn't happen, the issue doesn't happen. Sometimes what happens is avoidance, because of the way you just reacted, it really throws them off. And so they actually correct it. So you might not ever see it again. Okay. But however long it takes for the issue to show up again, you can bring it up. Or if you feel like it hasn't been fixed in a couple weeks, couple months, then you bring it up again and say, I was thinking about A, B, and C. I still feel frustrated about this. What can we do? Because sometimes when you're outside of the issue, they are more calm and they're more likely to be receptive. And so that's what I mean by space. Take that time to watch TV, whatever it is. You can still go a little bit cold, particularly for that moment, but it's not because you're punishing them. It's because you are setting up your own emotional boundary and your own standards. But that doesn't mean you're destroying the relationship. You're not doing this whole back and forth thing. And so that's an example. And so we're going to run through that really quick and then we'll wrap it up. You tell them that you're frustrated. You explain what bothered you and what you'd like them to do. If they agree and compromise, fine. But if not, you mention again, I'm frustrated, I need time to process. You take that time to process. Then you reconnect as if nothing happened. And the next time the issue comes up, you bring it up, you put more fire to that. Or if the issue doesn't show up, but you still feel like it isn't resolved, you bring it up later when you feel like rapport is built and you're more calm. And so I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.